It is a necessary need for all citizens of all our societies of human civilization of Earth to have their cameras and telescopes on the sky. And we will see and watch at different times and at different locations that the extraterrestrials are flying their superb vehicles, as the three superpowers try to hide the true knowledge, calling them unidentified flying objects, or unidentified aerial phenomena, to put at ease the human civilization, but it creates more confusion for our human civilization. Ignorance is not a bliss, knowledge is a bliss. In that regard, watch carefully the spontaneous filming of an extraterrestrial flying vehicle over the surface of the moon, as it seems one of their crew pilots has been romantic enough to fly on the surface of the moon, knowing that he will show their flying superb extraterrestrial abilities under the light of the moon. You will notice that their superb extraterrestrial flying vehicle is having an electromagnetic halo around the sharp edges of the extraterrestrial vehicle. That electromagnetic halo is created through certain combination of certain special alloys under the effects of certain frequencies of the electromagnetism, light and sound, in the format of a certain device or motor, which creates an immense controlled electromagnetic field around the extraterrestrial vehicle. That the extraterrestrial vehicle is flying at whatever superb speeds and superb aerodynamic maneuvers that are not possible to be reached by our planes, even the best jets of our three superpowers. Flying inside such an electromagnetic bubble, it makes possible for the flying vehicle to be independent from the environment around, that such an extraterrestrial vehicle can fly in whatever gaseous, emptiness, liquid and solid materials, depending on the power of its electromagnetic field. If the extraterrestrial vehicle needs to fly in dense atmospheres of different planets, and furthermore in more dense liquid environments of other planets, or in the solid matter of different planets like lava of volcanoes, and other solid materials of different planets, then such extraterrestrial vehicles increase the level of electromagnetism to certain technical capacities that their device, or as we can call it a motor, needs enormous amounts of energy. And it uses such enormous amounts of energy through the combination of certain special alloys of materials, together with the inductive initiated electromagnetism at certain frequencies, and the certain frequencies of light and sound, which creates a chain reaction of multi-folded superb power. The special alloys of such exotic materials to furnish their device as a motor of reaching certain speed and superb levels of maneuverability are found by the extraterrestrials in the celestial bodies that they are visiting, and one of the celestial bodies that they are visiting, it is our planet Earth. If you watch carefully the flying path of such an extraterrestrial flying vehicle, and compare it with the greater size when it goes on the left side of the moon, when we have zoomed immediately in, we were astonished with amazement, and this is the reason of the trembling of our special optical equipment. We watched with awe such an extraterrestrial flying vehicle to be of enormous size compared with the size of the crater, which means the extraterrestrial vehicle at least has been several hundred meters big or even bigger. This tells us humans who have a certain level of education, particularly in applicative sciences, that we are dealing with technologies that we need to convince our scientific circles to rearrange the scientific knowledge and to simplify it to reach better goals in the development of our human technology to protect the environment of our health and to improve the standard of lives of each fellow human of planet Earth. One of the best solutions, which does not create any pollution, it is development of technologies for our humanity through the combination of electromagnetism, light and sound, and the combination of their certain specific frequencies together with certain specific alloys of materials at different temperatures. And then we can say that we are in the right path of technological development, because up to now we have had development, but without thinking and relating it to the attached side effects like the pollution that we created on our Earth. Watch carefully in another location that the extraterrestrial civilizations have hidden some of their superb flying vehicles on the side of craters or inside the craters, and even they have camouflaged their equipment or vehicles within the natural shapes on the surface of the moon. Who is telling otherwise that the moon is a lifeless mass of material, or they do it purposely to hide the truth, or they do it from ignorance, or the possible option is a combination of ignorance and purpose to hide the truth. The extraterrestrial technology, as it was reflected in the ancient scripts of the Hindus and Buddhism, like Mahabharata and the Shiji, which were writing about our brothers and sisters coming from the deep sky with their Vimanas, and the Yellow Emperor had 4 faces that gazed out in 4 directions, allowing him to see all that happened in the world. This means simple technology and nothing else. In that context, our human civilization is in need to know the truths and not to be misdirected to the dead end by certain fanatical religious people, or certain politicians who are in a silent contract with such religious people to destroy the traces of knowledge remaining on Earth. As it happened with the fanatics and terrorists illegally opening and burning the ancient manuscripts of the Room of Heaven in the Library of Timbuktu, or as it happened in Afghanistan, Iraq and Syria, where it was destroyed, burned and stolen ancient manuscripts and artifacts, which were describing the visitations of planet Earth by the extraterrestrials, as it was written in the Sumerian cuneiform tablets for the Anunnakis. Human knowledge has its natural stream of millions and hundreds of thousands of years since the human life was developed on planet Earth. And the planet Earth was visited by the extraterrestrials millions and hundreds of thousands of years before until the early Sumerians 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, and the Tiwanaku 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, before the Incas and the Mayans, but since the time that the 3 main religions were divided, with the only purpose to instill division, hate and war, our human civilization always has been repeatedly faced with destruction of knowledge and artifacts. In that regard, it is to be praised the great work of all the staff of museums and libraries around our Earth, who try to preserve the ancient manuscripts and artifacts, to show the natural stream of human knowledge and human experience on planet Earth. The only institutions who still keep secrets behind closed doors are the Vatican Archives since the 11th century, and the Smithsonian Institute since the 17th century until the 19th century, which were very active of gathering all sorts of ancient manuscripts and artifacts to keep them away from the knowledge of the general public, as it happens with the skeletons of giants, etc. If you watch the giant vehicle which is hidden in the middle of a crater with an antenna on its top similar with a periscope of a submarine, you will be amazed like our team are amazed too. Or if you watch the giant flying vehicle landed on the surface of the moon, and attached to its fueling pod which is our filming from another European country, you will notice that we are providing further knowledge through our original filming and original photos of extraterrestrial vehicles which we were filming from another location of another country, and in this context you will recognize that it is difficult to be distinguished the extraterrestrial structures because it is camouflaged well among the natural shapes of the moon through the combination of certain frequencies of light, sound, and electromagnetism combined with certain special alloys on the surface of such extraterrestrial vehicles or structures. Also, if you watch carefully the giant crater, and inside it is a stationed giant likely industrial equipment which is similar to a venti shaft for giant underground mining operations, then, this shows furthermore that we are dealing with superb giant structures which are built with certain superb extraterrestrial machinery, and not with our machineries which are designed for the gravity of the Earth, because the moon has a weak gravity. If you have a sharp eye, you will notice the edges of a giant crater near the landed giant spaceship of the extraterrestrials, which has certain tall structures with their tops shining and their bodies being covered with certain alloys of materials to reflect the sunlight and to show as dark as possible, that you cannot distinguish easily their tall structures. We know that you will have more requirements to your natural curiosity, which is the driving force of human rational thinking for us to have provided better filming and better photos, but we are not part of the Pentagon, Russian military, or Chinese military, but we are a simple, modest group of scientists who try to do our best with modest budgets to show the truth and to serve the truth for the best interests of our human civilization, to increase the security and to serve above all the peace of our human civilization and planet Earth. We humans of our human civilization, including our elected politicians, remain considerably primitive with the concept of colonialization. But for the extraterrestrials there is no colonialization, but there is only an eco-friendly expansion of their movements, flying, and visitation to different celestial bodies to increase their knowledge, to increase the utilization of fulfilling their technical needs with certain special exotic materials, which even they find in our Earth volcanoes, or in our mountainous areas, where they extract such materials. As well, they extract energy through inducing power of their vehicles and their equipment from the upper atmospheres and ionospheres lightning bolts of our planet Earth. The extraterrestrial flying vehicles have inductive power and emitting powers of electromagnetic energy, which means electricity and magnetism, light, and sound. In this context, it takes more importance the knowledge and applications developed by Nikola Tesla, who was dealing with the applications of electromagnetism. Watch carefully and you will notice that the extraterrestrial civilizations are having their stations of their equipment on our moon. And we should be as logical in our reasoning to understand that the extraterrestrial civilizations, through knowing the properties of combination of electromagnetism, light and sound, they can hide well even in the surface of the moon or even in the underground of the moon, that even the best optical equipment of our three main superpowers will have difficulties to recognize such movements and flying of extraterrestrial vehicles with their extraterrestrial crews flying around our Earth, or flying over the surface or in the surface of the moon, that they have another superb technical quality of creating invisibility through the combination of the frequencies of electromagnetism, light and sound. Through the combination of electromagnetism, light, and sound we can change the state of different elements to create alloys in their transcendence among being gaseous, solid, and liquid. And we can avoid using any more screws and rivets in creating shapes, but through electromagnetism, light and sound combination of frequencies, we can create flawless shapes of pouring liquid or gaseous materials to take their solid state without the use of screws or rivets. And this is one of the crucial structural engineering feat of the extraterrestrials in comparison with our metallurgic and mechanical structural engineering, that we cannot be safe to go to the moon and to construct our base, and further to go to Mars to construct our base based on structures with screws and rivets. Also, multi-layered alloys of materials of different shapes can be reached through such engineering methods of new metallurgy. Scientific knowledge becomes simple and should be simple for the general public of our human civilization, and should not be expressed with complex formulas that certain snobbish scientists try to show their intellectual superiority to the rest of their fellow humans. To be a scientist is an honor, but at the same time is an obligation as a citizen of planet Earth, including citizenship of a certain society of our human civilization, to explain to the masses of folks with simple and concise words the substance of every subject of science in order to improve the quality of life for every human fellow of planet Earth. But unfortunately, certain scientists, including famous bright brains, are contracted by the Pentagon, by the Russian military, by the Chinese military, to develop more armaments and more attack capabilities. This is another part of our human primitive thinking. It should be changed as a necessity to develop our way of thinking, even in the military field, as the best ancient Chinese strategists such as Sun Tzu and other Indian strategists such as Kautilya stated that the best method of attack, it is perform superb defense, which is utilized by the extraterrestrials through their superb equipment of combining certain specific exotic alloys with certain frequencies of electromagnetism, light, and sound, that the extraterrestrials with their equipment are able to deactivate any other machinery attacking actions of any military of our three superpowers. The political leaders and the best of military leadership of the militaries of the Pentagon, Russian military, and Chinese military, they know well that our so-called modern warfare equipment are only some little toys still in development, that our three main superpowers try to develop their attacking capabilities without thinking what exists as a better experiences and knowledge of extraterrestrial civilizations, with their superb defensive equipment to deactivate all the equipment of the militaries of our three main superpowers. In that regard, are well-known hundreds and even thousands of stories told by ex-military pilots and other ex-military personnel of the militaries of different societies of our Earth, who state that their electronic equipment, and all other mechanical functions of the military jets or any other equipment of the militaries of the superpowers and other countries, were deactivated by the interferences of the certain spectrum frequencies of light, sound and electromagnetism emitted from the flying extraterrestrial vehicles near the surface of our Earth at different locations near the military bases and near our military jets. It is well known by the military strategists that the best superb defensive equipment, depending on their purpose of use, can be used as tactical or strategic counterattack equipment. Watch carefully this short documentary with original filming of the moon at different locations from different countries done by our team, in order to give the public the simple knowledge that we are not alone, and this is a declaration of humility, anonymity and simplicity, that each of human beings of planet Earth represent the human civilization of planet Earth. The presidents and prime ministers of each society of our human civilization, they are all human beings with a limit of their human life, and they are like everybody of us. But it is supposed that they should be smart, clever and mature to provide leadership. So it means that the extraterrestrial civilizations sent with their planned missions and their planned established bases on our moon and possibly on our Earth, their piloting crews as ambassadors of their extraterrestrial civilizations, and so our humanity should be united instead of division, as are developed some games among some mortal presidents and prime ministers of our three main superpowers, USA, Russia and China, followed by the European Union, and other emerging economic superhouses, that they should serve only the worldly peace of planet Earth, and the worldly peace of our human civilization to be prepared to have the required level of smartness, cleverness and maturity as a whole united human civilization. Otherwise, we are at the mercy of some individual presidents or prime ministers, who forget that they are the mortal fellow humans and nothing else. Because human life is beautiful and rich with our human conceptualization. Knowing more for the extraterrestrial conceptualization of life, stellar beauties, galaxy wonders, and universe grandiosity, following in more grandiosity of cosmos multiverse.